Hello and welcome to Law and Order SVU here on FANVERSATION. We are talking, there's no season and episode. We are talking a very special episode. We have Sarah Storm joining us to talk about Bronwyn, everything Bronwyn. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm Yael Tygiel. I'm joined as always by Taylor Gates. Hello, Taylor.
Hello.
Hi. Before we jump into this episode, I keep saying episode like it's one. Before we talk about this character and the 5 episodes that she crosses, I want to give our usual warning. First, the hotline for RAINN. If you are in a situation and need help, please reach out to RAINN. Their number is 1-800-656-4673. Taylor, what does 4673 spell?
It spells hope.
It does spell hope.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah, so if you need help, please reach out to RAINN. Also, be prepared. This is your content warning. Sometimes the show goes dark, and I feel like Bronwyn was in a lot of dark episodes. So please expect that we will make light. Yep, I have a lot of things to say that may be considered offensive, and you've been warned. Before we jump in again, also, we have a big contest we're going to talk about at the end of this discussion, so stick around for that. We're doing a little contest, but let's jump into Bronwyn.
Let's.
Oh, Bronwyn. I'm so excited because Bronwyn jumps in. We meet her as the foreperson for this jury.
Mm-hmm.
In 1510 Psychotherapist, which is William Lewis's trial. Did you know when you came on where your story was going, or did you know just that you were going to be the jury foreperson?
I knew that I was going to be the jury foreperson. I was like, ooh, I've hit a milestone. I'm going to say words on television. This will be awesome. And I was really excited to be sitting and paying attention. My whole job was to be a sounding board, a scene partner. I was like, this is amazing. It sort of became clear a little I was like, there's a lot of coverage that's but I didn't realize, maybe it's I don't know. I didn't realize.
All right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of coverage. There's a lot of you interacting, making eyes at,
and I totally
everybody.
thought it was because Pablo as Lewis is really trying to play the jury, and they're just making it, they're really telegraphing. I think, there's clearly meant to be some connection, but I thought that was because he was playing the jury. There's a redhead on the jury. There's somebody he can manipulate. It's his bread and butter. I think I figured it out partway through, maybe, that there was but I don't know. Anyway. Yeah.
And that makes me curious. What was the audition process like? Was it a lot of just faces? Was there a lot of lines?
So
what did you have to do?
I think it was, because I think the only thing she says, God, this is going back in the time machine. I think because the only thing Bronwyn says in that episode is the bit at the end, having concerns and reading the verdict.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the audition. That office had called me the day before to ask, I didn't have any representation at that point, to invite me to have an appointment.
Oh, wow.
And I said, yeah, I was in the midst of the 24-hour plays on Broadway. And so I was running around, and I've been a part of the 24-hour plays since early adulthood, since right after college, basically. And we were just running around doing our thing, and the phone rang, and I recognized the extension. Not the extension, but I know sort of what the Chelsea Piers numbers look like, because you do, right? Okay. And I picked it up, and they were like, hey, can you come in? And I said yes, because that is what you say when someone says, can you do this thing? If it is an acting thing, and yeah, it's an audition, you say yes. I was terrified. Wow. I was so terrified, and I was so excited. But then I also had to go back in that moment to doing whatever it was I was doing for the show that year. And so, yeah, I meant to look. I feel like it was a particularly good after party, and I left very early because I wanted to prepare. Well, okay. I have to tell this story. My friend Mums passed away a couple weeks ago, and I remember looking at him. He was at the party, I think, or at the show that year. I don't know that he had been in it. And I'm like, I have this audition. I haven't had one in a while. Like, what do I do? And I think I was looking for permission to like whatever, just, phone it in, which he was not. That if you were lucky enough to know Craig Grant, you knew that is never a thing he was going to give you. And he just looks at me like I have grown another head. He's like, you book. That is what you do. And so we left this amazing party full of people who had just made theater. And I went home and I worked on the sides for a while. And like I woke up and scrubbed mascara out of my eye, the bits that would come. And I was like, I'm just going to go there and be chill, which is not Bronwyn at all.
But that's amazing because it's something that started small and then grew into this 5-episode arc. It was like a very iconic character on a very iconic storyline in the show.
I feel incredibly lucky. I mean, like really when I went in the door, and I can also go way too minutia, so always cut me off, please. But like
no, we love the minutia.
Okay.
I was fascinated.
I can describe the outfit I was wearing, and I get into the audition and everybody else looks way more polished because they were they were seeing people in producer sessions for a couple of characters that are in that episode. I think it was Bronwyn and Janice Cole. Lots of redheads of varying varieties. But everybody, I was like, I look way different here. And I was just like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do my job in that room and I'm going to have a great time. And then I'm going to go back to my day job and just not think about it. So I about fell out of my chair when I booked. I was just, as an actor, you can't ever go in going, oh, I'm going to clean that up. That one's mine. Yeah.
I love that you say that there are redheads, all different types. I feel like Bronwyn is she has a very specific look. And the costuming is very hippie. I can't think of another word. Was that you? What did you wear to the audition? What did you give to her?
I wore, I think a denim skirt. I was buying like almost all of my clothes at Redress in Brooklyn. It's a plus size consignment shop that I think now lives on the internet in Ohio, but like at the time was like a queer community center and a place you could buy cute stuff. I had this like purple peasanty top and a denim skirt and these John Fluvok motorcycle boots that I think I probably wear to like all the things. And yeah, literally I wore glasses. I had my nose ring in. I had, which I don't right now, but I had, and literally it was like a little bit of mascara that just wouldn't go. And I was like, well, fuck it. It's just going to stay. And so I think maybe I looked a little off, who knows? But I really, the costuming, have you talked about how brilliant Juliet is? Like,
no,
the costume designer on Law and Order SVU, if my memory serves, I believe also is responsible for like all of the looks on The Sopranos. Like she pays attention, Juliet, to detail. It really helped me sort of figure out who Bronwyn was meant to be. Cause she's like what she says, anybody could say. You don't really get a sense of who she is until in later episodes it grows. But stepping into that costume shop and trying on looks and having a conversation with Julia about like who did we think she was super fun and really grounded me. And like there are details, there's like you see the shoes in the 3rd episode, but I think I was wearing those shoes in the 1st episode. And we had a whole conversation about like how extra is she? Right? Like which of these shoes is she going to wear? Like the fact that she never like puts on her jewelry and takes a piece off. It's like she puts it all on and then like adds something. Right? Yeah. Those conversations happened in the costume shop and were incredibly, incredly helpful. Like I knew who I was every time I put that stuff on.
I love that. The other thing I love about her is her like commitment to a bit. The amount of stuff she cooks for people is the thing that I love. Like whenever I think Bronwyn, I think cupcake immediately. And then when I was rewatching, like we have the lasagna, and I'm just like, this girl you're right. She's so specific with the costuming. She knows food is a way to people's hearts to get what she wants. I appreciate that so much.
I think I was, okay. So I was also literally when I booked this part, I just found out that my full-time day job was going down to halftime, which ended up being amazing. But I was stress baking and I'm pretty sure I like saw the crew as like people who would eat things. I couldn't keep it all around. I baked. I remember I baked things and brought them in. Bronwyn might have already been a baker. I'm sure she was. They already had that going. But I was like, oh my God, what do they
so meant to be.
The thing is, it's 10 episodes between the first episode and like it's season 15, episode 10, Psychotherapist, and then it's season 15, episode 20, Beast's Obsession.
Yeah.
That's 10 episodes that they had to be like, Bronwyn is making the cupcakes.
I think they had a plan. They had a plan. Yeah.
Amazing.
And like then from that point on, like I would notice there were fittings for things. They're like, here's where like there were fittings for things I wasn't going to wear in the episode. And that was like, oh, okay.
Oh,
like that
I
was
see.
But like
suspicious.
I mean, certainly in episode 2, like there were fittings for things for episode 3. And I was like, or I think of them as 1, 2, and 3. Sorry. Like there's in episode 20, there was fittings for stuff in episode 21.
Right. Because so for those who did not go back and rewatch the episodes, here's what we have. We have William Lewis's trial. We have William Lewis's escape. And then the grand jury situation. Then it's another 2 seasons before we see her again. And we see her at the end of the 2-part premiere of season 17, Criminal Pathology. And we just see Bronwyn listening to Rudnick's testimony. Was anyone there when you shot that? Was it just you? Oh,
yeah. So it was not. So nice catch. It was absolutely a pickup. It was a courtroom scene in somebody else's episode. They wanted to like place her as a sort of Easter egg, I think, and it was gonna tease out, right? I was just like, sure, I'll show up, and it was a courtroom scene, and I think it was either like the second team, like the stand-ins reading lines, or like maybe one of the ADs, like just to kind of give me eye line. So I was sitting among the background for another, like they sort of shuffled people a little bit. Yeah. It was pretty seamlessly done. I was impressed.
It's amazing. I spent time watching the episode and being like, where is she? Where is she? And then like, there you are. And I'm like, she's hidden again. Where did she go?
It's like a little I Spy game as well, though. Like,
I love that. And of course she comes back. And what's really fun is you have a deleted scene that it's on the internet, and I will be retweeting it out for people to check out later. But there's an extra scene about Bronwyn's baked goods.
As there should be. Give me a spin off about that.
I didn't rewatch that one, but right, she's talking to the security guards, like bringing in the lasagna.
Yeah, I can't share the sound, but I can share the video. So for anyone who's watching us right now on YouTube, you can see this video. Oh, hold on. So you can watch this. She's bringing in the baked goods. So cute.
Right, the hand checking they'll discuss later.
Yeah.
Shout out to my my eye doctor, and those are my glasses.
I love it.
Amazing. It's so good.
She's giving me like fortune teller vibes.
That's kind of Bronwyn's brand.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. So you got to interact with in the first episodes with Pablo and really the whole team.
Yeah.
Tell us about everybody.
So I was really lucky. So Pablo has done the 24-hour plays a bunch. So like it was just sort of nice. Like he's such a convincing, such a gifted actor that had I not had the context, like I know it's acting, but like he is an intimidating presence. But like at one point, I think we had traded baby pictures like on our phones before a show, like he of one of his kids and me of like my very first nephew. And it's like, I was like, oh, right, that's Pablo. We do baby pictures and talk about how amazing other people are. Like so that made it a lot easier. And I feel like the existing rapport helped a lot. And then I don't remember, I feel like I said something smart-assed a little bit, like in response to something Raul said, and that like broke the ice. And then like he would kind of like come hang out by the jury box and like tell like the most amazing stories. Like I got to hear about like what it was like to learn to play piano for company, and like when like just amazing. And like I don't want to go into too much detail, like, but like it was really nice to like hit it off and make like like temporary work friends. That was really lovely. I loved that. So I am not, anyway, Mariska was, I was about to be like, I'm about to like dive into a deep dive on like how amazing second team is. Those are the stand-ins, the people who stand there and get lights and stuff. And they're often reading in rehearsal if somebody has to step out. They were incredibly like, let's be real. I was very green. This was my first network TV this was my first TV anything, I think, really. I think I did like a day of background once before. And I had been in classes and I had done my homework, but like Kelly from the second team was really helpful. John Heron, who is the most incredible camera person, he just like sort of talked me through where he needed me to step for eyeline in certain shots. And it was amazing and fascinating. Mariska, like the first day I was there, came to check with me for eyeline on a scene before she changed for something. And I like, it was like, I don't want to like, sorry.
This is the place to fangirl. This is the place.
No,
but
it's
just,
a safe
I was
space for that.
terrified, right? I felt like I was excited to get to do what I had trained to do. And I was nervous about doing it well. And I felt a deep sense of responsibility, the entire cast, because like that whole episode is about trial. So like my job, like I have stuff to say at the end, but like my job is to be present. My job is to be a good scene partner. My job is to like meet them according to the script where I need to meet them to get them to be able to do what they need to do. Right. I'm like literally like a kind of a trampoline. That Mariska, like that mattered to her was like made me feel amazing. And that she really, the first person on a call sheet sets the tone. Like you hear that a lot, but like she really sets an incredible tone. And of all the places to cut your teeth in television, like I couldn't have asked for a better one. Like everybody was kind and wonderful and really just excellent at what they do. That's
amazing. That's so amazing. We hear great things about everyone all the time. So it's nice to just continue to hear that. I want to talk a little bit about, I guess it's the third episode, Post-Mortem Blues, where it's the grand jury testimony, because now you get to like really speak.
Absolutely.
So tell us about this.
Okay, I am going through all my notes. Let's see. Okay, so oh right, okay, so that's what it was terrifying. That was the scariest thing because I'm sitting in front of 18 strangers, right? Like I love acting. I love everything about acting. I love SVU. I think it's a phenomenal show. I'm a giant nerd. And I have been pretty transparent in other places about like I have anxiety. So like once it gets going, so it's, you know, it can be really intimidating to sit in front of a ton of strangers and just do this stuff. I remember being very nervous, like way more nervous in front of these 18 grand jurors than I was, I think, sitting in the jury box or like face to face with cupcake situation. Like that was manageable, but this was a lot of faces. And I just remember the juror who's in blue, the blonde woman in the blue shirt, was like really lovely. Like she had like done some like principal stuff. I don't know. I just remember her being very supportive. I remember being told to relate to the chubby juror, and I'm like, oh, I meant to manipulate him the way that Lewis manipulated Bronwyn. Oh, fun. And really, it was super helpful because super helpful. That scene was super helpful to me. It's like, it solidifies Bronwyn's worldview, right? Like she sincerely believes what she believes. Like she has successfully been manipulated, but if you look at what she knows as opposed to what everybody else in the show knows, what she knows or might believe is pretty much tracks with what she says. He can that it was police brutality. And you know, she admitted on this video that it was police brutality, and now there's this grand jury, and like Bronwyn is going to try and like save his reputation. I don't know, stop the NYPD from being terrible. I think she really believes that she's like fighting against injustice, and also like fighting in memory of like her person who has now been taken from her. Yeah. I have other notes about this episode, but it's all like, oh my gosh, they've got Olivia in black and white in all these scenes because we don't know like morally where she's falling right now.
Oh wow.
I love the detail. The attention to
Juliet,
detail.
I don't know that. Thank you. I don't know that that's what Juliet had planned, but it stuck. She's a genius.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
We've got some people in the chat. Amber says, woo, love this. So glad you're here. Daryl's excited that we have a guest. Amber's loving the hashtag drugged cupcakes.
Absolutely.
I believe you know Stormageddon sending some hearts. Stormageddon, I'm assuming, is a Whovian.
He's that Matt behind me.
He's that Matt.
Yeah. He's a dyed-in-the-wool Whovian, yes. Nice.
I get it. There's a TARDIS somewhere over here. Anyway, so sorry, Taylor. Nerd stuff.
No, it's okay. I love it. I'll sit back, watch it happen. I'll just nod along. I'll be like, yeah.
I'm not going to derail this conversation into talking about Doctor Who, but just know that it was an impulse. It was an impulse that I had.
Yeah. I mean, that's a different show.
Anytime.
It's like anytime I'm on any other show, I will bring it back to SVU, but on SVU, I will somehow get us to Doctor Who.
Nice.
Yes, I can confirm.
Do you think that the Doctor has ever watched SVU? Like they consume a lot of pop culture in all of their lives. Like
I'm sure that they've seen it and went, this is not for me.
Except for maybe the Matt Smith Doctor. He was crotchety and he was like, humanity. I mean, not always. Right. Then anyway.
Sorry, Taylor.
No, I love it. I'm learning so much.
Okay. So, all right. So in Postmortem, I, as a viewer, went, and again, Sarah, this is not against you, but this is how I refer to Bronwyn. This bitch should be in prison. And yet she's not.
Yeah.
And then later we find out in 1714, we find out that the charges were dropped because Rikers had issues of chain of custody, corrupt COs, and no one wanted to open that can of worms, which I think is so funny because we've already gotten like Redneck in jail. It's a whole can of worms anyway. Mm-hmm. But when you were testifying, when Bronwyn was there, did you know that she like...
I feel like we did. It wasn't until you just said that. I'm like, I feel like that was a question I asked, was like, what, like, is any part of this that her ass is on the line?
Right.
And yes. I mean, I think, she's going to be in a little bit of hot water. I mean, unless I'm really off the mark in my memory, but like that, I do recall like having a little conversation about that being like, this is part of her motivation is like, she's very concerned about her own self. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because watching it, I was like, why are we trusting her? She literally gave him spiked cupcakes.
Yeah. And for the people, I feel like I've seen some stuff out there that's like, oh, and she caused this heart issue because she's like overspiked the cupcakes. It's like, that's the plan. The plan is to fake the heart attack. The plan is to drug the cupcakes.
And that's a detail that I love because anyone who knows me knows I love the twists, the turns, the just like off the walls crazy plot lines. And so that's why when I think Bronwyn, I think Stern and those spiked cupcakes. The best little detail.
You really to give up the acute anxiety meds to someone else, you really gotta love them a lot.
It's true.
A lot.
Dedication.
Right? I was like super weirdly attuned to hear the word propanolol in the news for like 3 years after that episode.
I feel that.
I'm that way with scopolamine.
What is that?
Scopolamine is there was an episode of SVU where it drugs you enough that you are conscious, but you are controllable. And so one of my favorite episodes, Taylor, you'll know the title. It's the one where the guy drugs, the guest star was Kelly Hugh, and he rapes her and then like makes them say that they like it, even though they're fighting back. And later in the trial, he stands up with an erection and the DA says, that's not an objection you're raising.
Yes, I can't actually remember the episode title, but I know what you're talking about. I can picture this in my head.
Oh my God. Yeah.
One of my favorites. So now scopolamine is a thing I can't unhear.
Yeah.
We learned so much, like all of our education.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Amber. Scopolamine is a motion sickness drug. They administer it in patches on cruise ships. Well, am I thinking something else? Because I'm pretty sure it's scopolamine.
Maybe in big doses or something?
Maybe how you are administered it.
We're lawyers, not doctors, so.
Yeah, I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the later episodes, because Bronwyn gets involved with Redneck and Yates, who are less, I would say, less scary than William Lewis.
Overtly, yeah.
Like, because they're specifically charming. That was something that I remember, you know, when they're on the Nationwide Manhunt. It said that they're very charming and manipulative, whereas I feel like William Lewis is scary and manipulative.
Well, but I mean, yes, but certainly he was attempting to project charm. He was working the charm in the trial, right? If you only met him in the context of he needs something from you and he's not intending to kill you to get it, then he is much more charming.
That's true.
So yeah, but I think that it's also, he didn't attempt to have a professional career in the way that Redneck and Yates did. Like, at least that I remember. Yeah.
Yes.
So like they had more, they were doing a much better job at keeping the sort of monster inside and only bringing him out on special occasions.
That's a great point. I was curious because we had, I think it was Amber on Twitter, if I'm remembering correctly, who's worked with people sort of like, who's been in Bronwyn's situation about being charmed by these people and helping them escape and things. Did you do any sort of research on people that kind of happens to, or like what was your process for that? Because it's a little bit, I mean, it's the same thing as like the William Lewis situation, but also a bit different in ways.
So I think, yes. I mean, like, so I remember reading a lot about the Dannemora prison break, which is mentioned in the episode. I remember, like, I don't remember what I read about it, but I do remember reading about that. And also sort of looking at what pieces, I paid a lot of attention to like what pieces of the script Bronwyn actually knows, right? Like what information your character actually has is pretty useful. And keeping in mind that, like, in her opinion, like, yes, she's covering her ass because she helped this very bad dude do things. There's surely a world in which she was able to convince herself that he was like driven to it and that Olivia is still the bad guy. Like, clearly she thinks Olivia is still the bad guy, right? So that when Olivia hits the news again with a guy on trial, like, who seems all sympathetic and had this job, like, she's like, I feel like she's pre-programmed to like connect to that guy.
Yeah,
that's totally her thing. She feels like she's seen somebody she loves railroaded by the justice system, and oh my God, what if it's going to happen again? Is kind of where I think part of that is coming from. I did absolutely read up on some of that, but I don't remember reading a ton.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I didn't even draw that sort of parallel connection, but now that you mentioned, I'm like, oh, that's so true about how she's, like you said, pre-programmed to not believe this woman in any way, which is so different from a viewer perspective because we obviously all love her. So I think that's smart. Gathering the facts of what you know is, I think that can make a lot of difference. It's really interesting.
Thanks.
Absolutely. That really ties in because again, she shows up to hear Redneck's testimony. And I was like, why? But this is why.
He's been on he's been on the news. He's been on the front page of all the tabloids. I like, whether she was reading the Post or the Daily News or everything she could get her hands on, like, this person who had this important job, who is trusted and respected, is suddenly being accused of something terrible, and she knows by, like, and once it's clear by who, I think that makes it a big deal for her.
Yeah. Amber says, the people I volunteered with definitely didn't help anyone escape, but there were a few that were definitely charmed into some not great choices.
And like, let's remember, I was like, whether you come at acting sort of analytically, where it's like all the information that's in the script, or you're going like, what can I imagine, or what have I been through that I can attack? Like, who among us has not possibly at some point in our lives been talked into something less than stellar by someone who maybe we shouldn't have trusted in the way that we did, or we wouldn't have trusted with hindsight. So like, it's all, that I feel like my job is to feel a lot of empathy and to defend this person's choices fully. And I felt like I could find a lot in Bronwyn that was like, I would be terrified and horrified by you in life, but like, I can also understand where you're coming from.
Yeah,
totally. It's like a bigger scale.
Absolutely. Bronwyn is, she sees the best in people. She teaches alternatives to conflict. Like she's the person who comes into conflict management, conflict resolution workshops and is like, hug it out. Like I know people, we all know people like that. Yeah. We may not trust their decision making, but like, we understand where they're coming from.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the episode I was referring to earlier, thank you to Kate Makes Videos, is smart.
Hey, Kate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Great episode.
What is that when in the tenure of SVU is that? Do you remember? Like, is it like,
I can get you that answer right now.
11. I'm going to guess 10, 11, or 12. It's like that window.
I know that it is season 10, episode 10.
Amazing.
Nicely done.
That little piece.
It's so good. All right, so here's a question that I have to know the answer to, and it's the dumbest question, but I hope I can
give it. Okay, go for it.
So, in the group therapy session, Rudnick's bunkmate is Jose, who we as SVU viewers know Jose's story. Did you know who Jose was and his story when you got to do this scene with him?
I did, because I think I watched the entire Lewis, I think I watched the entire Lewis saga as I was prepping for that first episode, probably. So I did know who he was.
Amazing.
And also Robin just rocks. So like, I was like, I want to see more of this guy. I would have watched the scenes anyway. Yeah.
He's I'm going to assume he's a fan favorite character because he's such a tiny role. When we first meet him, it is when he is humping an unconscious body because he likes her jacket. And Finn later in another episode goes, yeah, he was humping this dead body. And his argument was, I like shearling. And that was like, wait, we're still talking about the same dude. And then he comes back as Lewis's roommate from the halfway house. And then he comes back and he's in prison with Redneck. So I just had to know if you knew, and I'm so glad you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so silly. Okay, I'm looking through all my questions.
Awesome. Yeah, Robin.
I can ask one while you wait.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we have a lot of repeat offenders on the show, and I know that you've played, one character for a couple episodes, so I don't know if it would work, but we're putting it out into the universe right here, right now. If you were to come back as someone else, what kind of role would you want to play?
Oh, that's such a good question. I would love to be on the side of like right and justice.
That's fair.
That would be. But I have to say, I super loved playing somebody who was led down a dark path. But it would be, my favorite kind of character in procedural shows is the nerdy lab tech. It is what I always dreamed of, or the computer person. And to come back as a nerdy but very capable computer person who had a little bit of witty banter on anywhere would be the dream.
Put her on Taru. Come on. That's what I'm here for right now. I love that.
She's going to triangulate the signal.
English, please. English, please. Exactly.
I don't speak nerd. That's perfect. So we find out that Bronwyn got married at some point in the 2 seasons.
She gets married. She's married a month before Nationwide Manhunt happens. Which I only remember because Anna Deavere Smith says it. Anna Deavere Smith says it a month. she mentions it in Nationwide Manhunt. I got to be at the table read for Nationwide Manhunt, and they sat me next to Anna Devere Smith, and I didn't weep with joy, and I didn't die on the spot. So like that was a big, it was a big win. I read Fires in the Mirror in like junior high or high school, which is her show, her investigative show about the riots in Crown Heights in the 80s between the Orthodox, like the Haredi Jewish community and the Black community there. And like, anyway, I fell in love. I've never fallen out of love. I will watch whole series just because she's there. But continue, please.
So I got to see, I guess, a recording of her doing all of the roles of that. And when I was in high school in theater class. And so that's who she is to me. So when she's in this, I was like, Anna Devere Smith. Oh my goodness.
I was really into For the People, which was the Shondaland show. And I loved her in For the People.
She was the best in that show.
She was so good. Yeah. I mean, we're doing a West Wing rewatch right now. Well, my spouse is watching it for the first time, and I am watching it like a rewatch. And anytime Nancy McNally shows up in the West Wing, I'm just like, it's a good day. I love you, Anna Devere Smith. Hi.
Taylor, you watched For the People, right?
I did not.
Jasmine Savoy Brown was in that.
I know, she's great. I love a lot of the people in it. I need to do that.
That cast is incredible.
Yeah.
Regé Jean is it Regé Jean or Regé Jean?
Regé Jean. The guy from Bridgerton. That you're all in love with.
Who has the best arc and like the most, they all had great arcs, but like he has some interesting character development and some great like relationships and friendships in that show.
Also on that show is Britt Robinson, who SVU fans know from Taylor, what episode?
Babes.
Yes, she was in
the best episode. One of the best episodes. Same pair of jeans. Come on.
Yeah. All right. So in the end, Bronwyn is somehow, I'm going to say this, somehow alive. Last we see her, she is found in the trunk. She says, "Help me, please." Which I'm surprised Olivia's response was, "Get her out of here." I'm surprised Olivia's response wasn't, "No."
Wasn't cancel the bus.
Which is super amazing because in that moment, Bronwyn has landed in a spot where like that is Olivia's bread and butter. Like things have happened and she is like, were she anyone else, right? Like, but she's Bronwyn and she's caused all this havoc.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like good. That's the thing that I don't know that tracks, but like, yeah. They let her go. They didn't just let her go.
Yeah, I will say that you do hold your own in the scene. Like, Bronwyn holds her own in the scene with Olivia, which is hard to do. You know, Olivia can really make it happen when she needs to, but Bronwyn doesn't budge. Like, she's very much fighting back, which I find to be such an interesting scene and also sort of a funny scene. I love it when it's like very petulant and like you're just not cooperating whatsoever. So I thought that was a really fun scene to watch too. And I imagine it was pretty fun to play.
It was amazing. Like that whole episode was just the most fun. Like that scene was incredible. We were in a tiny like conference room off the side of this beautiful AME church where we were shooting this, like where all the manhunt was being coordinated from like a social hall. Like we were off in this tiny little conference room. And so I'm first of all, like I'm in a room with people that like I already loved, but I've like come to really appreciate and enjoy. And like, I get to go at it. And Mariska's amazing and Roll was amazing and Kelly was amazing. And it was also super fun to get to experience like now we're on and we are absolutely at odds and enemies. And now we are going to hang out for a few minutes while we deal with some stuff and like be humans alive in a room. It was fun.
Yeah, that was what I was also going to ask because these are all very intense episodes. Like I would say some of the darkest that SVU has ever done. So I was curious, I think you kind of alluded to that there was a lot of like playfulness and storytelling, you know, in between, but I was wondering if it was like somber or sort of like serious or if you can kind of snap in and out of it.
I will say like that first episode was it was my first week on television, so I had no comparison, right?
Right.
I felt like people took care of each other. It was an intense week. Like I got to hear lovely stories and we got to know each other, and like I learned a lot and kept my eyes open and just appreciated being there. But also I learned that like this is a thing that people that like rapists and assaulters do to
Right.
their victims, to survivors, is like force them to be in a courtroom by defending themselves and like getting really up close and harassing them.
Yeah.
That scene between Pablo and Mariska where like he like foams at the mouth a little bit, like that piece took a full, like, I don't remember like where the pages begin and end, but like that scene took like 13 hours. That was like a day. And it was, so we're doing that over, and that scene is happening. Like I can't, like that scene is happening over and over and over and over again. And like, I'm a survivor. I know I'm not the only, like there are people in that room. Like I felt like everybody was sort of taking care of each other. I feel like the woman playing the court stenographer and I like hugged a couple of times because it was just like, it's a lot. So I think the mood that day was very somber and very respectful. Like, and you know, it was an intense day. I mean, I think so. Being in the trunk of a car for 4 hours, like that was, I was trying to stay in the right headspace, but also literally one of the background actors is someone that I hadn't seen for like about 2 years at that point, who I had known from the job that had gone to halftime when I started the first episode. So I'm having like a weird reunion with a coworker. And then Sophia Bush and I kept looking at each other and I was like, oh, the 24-hour place. She's like, I knew you. And so we knew, it was like weird connections. So it was like fun to be making weird connections, but also like I'm in the trunk of a car with like duct tape with like surgery, like my whole face is like very, like it wasn't full on duct tape. It had like surgical tape. They'd taken a lot of the stick off of it. And Sophia Bush apologized after every cut. I swear, every single one. And I'm like, I'm really okay. My face was a bit hurt by the end, but I was fine. There was like chicken in the trunk of the car to scent the bloodhound, and a little bit of it, like I think a little bit of it like got in my hair. So it's like, but at the same time, I was having I was having an amazing time, even though kind of what I was doing and where I was going was terrible, right? Like there's like where you have to go in the scene and like that you're aware that you're doing what you're doing. I had my iPhone in the warming jacket. And actually it was maybe in Bronwyn's coat. And I had It's Quiet Uptown from the Hamilton soundtrack. And in between takes, because I can't hear that song and not weep openly.
Yep, same.
Right. So I was just priming the pump that way. And then also I was like, some of my teachers will not find this appropriate, but I was, I had this moment of like I said, I'm a survivor. I'm like, that motherfucker, I'm going to get paid right now. Like, and I was like, I could take a little teeny bit of what I had been through. Like I've been through a lot of therapy. I have like, it has all sort of been processed. I was like, fuck you, you fucking, can I swear?
Sure. Absolutely.
Fuck you shitbag. This is mine now. And I put it to work for me, which also felt really healing.
Yeah.
Like I would never have said that on set to anybody. The only reason I was able to do that again is lots of therapy and then lots of school and then lots of therapy. But like, theater isn't therapy. It's true. But like I could use everything that had happened in my life when I needed it.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Because that's really, I mean, that's incredible that you could go to that place and use that to kind of heal in a way. I think that's really powerful.
Thank you. Thanks. I don't know that I've ever actually shared, like, I felt kind of like weird that I didn't know if it was like, okay, like who was going to give me permission, but like, so thank you for holding space for that.
Yeah, of course.
We're a safe space for anything.
Yay.
Yes.
I want to talk about where might Bronwyn be?
Okay.
God.
Because again, the last we see of her is Benson's "Get her out of here." So my hope, she's in prison. obviously she will escape.
She's making like so many prison recipes. I don't know if you guys have seen like prison TikTok and stuff. Like in Orange is the New Black. Like you can cook a lot of stuff in prison if you get creative, and I see that for her.
I never did manage to score an audition for Orange is the New Black, but I was just thinking, I was like, this would be just. I mean, it was an amazing show. It was like it'll also be personally hilarious to me. So Barba tells her, right, she's facing all these charges, and I don't think any amount of cooperating, despite whatever she went through on the way to that trunk, I don't think any amount of cooperating was going to get her out of those charges. Mm-hmm. I don't know, like Matt, one of the makeup guys, he kept, I thought it was like a nickname. He just kept looking at me and saying, "Not dead yet." Like every time he saw me, he'd be like, not dead yet. Cause like I was like, again, amazed that I kept having more to do and feeling really fortunate. And so anyway. And I just keep thinking of that every once in a while. I'm like, oh, right. Not dead yet. She survived the trunk of a car. She survived Yates and Redneck and the trunk of a car, and she's not dead. So I do think right and good in the SVU world, she has absolutely gone to jail. But I never can decide, like, do I, in my imagination, is it that she's gone totally to the dark side and that like she's gonna proceed to become even worse, sort of like funnel everything that she's been through and become some sort of like killer in her own right? Or is it that maybe she's finally like, maybe she has realized the error of her ways in some way and like has managed to kind of reform. Like this was not, when she's a jury foreperson, there's like none of this, right? He charms her, he convinces her, but I don't think she's predicting her that she's going to go off and run off and have like a series of prison boyfriends and embark on a life of being a criminal accomplice, right? She's got her life, and like wouldn't she want to get back to that? Would she feel that she was deserving of getting back to that? Anyway,
that's so interesting because in my mind, like she's not going dark. In my mind, she is like gonna help all of these other people. She's like in prison with all these people to help, and that she knows how to escape. She has literally 2 different paths that she has proven can get people out. So I foresee her getting out to help everyone else.
That is amazing. I love that. I do. I love her. I love the idea of her being like a mama bear in prison, being like, I'll cook for you and I'll plan for you. Let's do it. That's true.
I would watch that show. I would watch it so hard.
If they ever come asking, I'll say yes immediately.
Yeah, of course. Amber in the chat says Bronwyn is for sure leading a drum circle.
110%. 110%.
Yeah.
I'm like, does she hate Olivia? Is she just gonna hate her forever? Probably. Which is tricky because like I'm like Mariska Hargitay is amazing. Yeah. But yeah, Bronwyn and Olivia, enemies for life. Nemesis.
What an honor to be like an enemy of Olivia Benson. Like that is incredible.
And it is. It's huge. It's an immense honor.
It's not just that. It's that Olivia, when they were discussing the Bronwyn who was there, Olivia goes, Bronwyn? Not even a last name. Bronwyn. She knows by first name that it is the Bronwyn.
Right there.
She goes, Bronwyn, red hair, heavy set. Has a thing for serial killers. Yep. She knows.
Yeah. She's got it in one.
Amazing. It is a very specific name.
It is.
Taylor, tell me about the name Bronwyn.
Am I supposed to know?
You know that I think all sorts of names are weird.
Oh, I love the name Bronwyn, to be quite honest with you. I've named a character Bronwyn in one of my scripts. I don't know what it means or anything, but I think it sounds cool.
It's a great name. I did love that that the woman playing Noah's nanny was named Bronwyn Reed. Oh. And I was playing a character named Bronwyn Reed.
The actress who plays Lucy.
Her name is Bronwyn Reed.
Wow. Amazing.
That's hilarious because I mean, obviously it's not the exact same name, but Freed I thought was like the funniest last name. It's like so tongue in cheek. I was like, you know, they did that on purpose. Like that was not a coincidence.
So here's another like so I had gotten married in I'm like when is it? God, it's this month. It's May of 2015. I got married in May of 2015. And Bronwyn lives in like Stormkill or something. Like my last name's Storm now. Which I took because it's an amazing. I couldn't pass that up. Oh my
Sarah
God.
Storm is an incredible, like, the alliteration of the two. It's so good.
It's like I like a cross between a meteorologist and like I don't know. I want to live up to the Aurora Monroe Storm X-Men thing, right?
Absolutely.
But so Bronwyn lives in Stormkill or Storm something, which was like a fun nod.
Oh my God, amazing. Sarah Puala, sorry, I messed it up. Says, so cool to hear Sarah's rule.
Thanks, Sarah. Hi.
And Stormageddon agrees 100%. She's getting into more trouble for sure. Yep. And Zach says, no doubt about it, Liv will always despise Bronwyn.
Yeah.
She
has a big heart, that Olivia Benson, but I think some things she just can't forgive, and I understand.
Yeah, I think it's
we'll give her
again in my brain. I'm like, oh, but like my whole job was like taking Bronwyn's view. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. Yeah. They're never going to be friends.
I love that. I know that we, Taylor, we usually have some favorite lines. Do you have a best line from any of these episodes? Did you write any lines down? Because I did.
I did not. Oh no, you go ahead. Mine was just moments. Like, I mean, the cupcake moment is great, and like every line when you're talking to Olivia in that last episode, I just think is so funny because it's just so sassy and just not even, just absolutely the door closed, not listening to her at all. I thought was hilarious.
Thank you.
So I have the part where their question is, will she be armed when they're about to go into her house? And Carisi says, I don't think so. She teaches alternatives to conflict and bakes cupcakes and lasagna.
Carisi really does have a gift for understanding those characters who have chosen a different path in life.
He really does. He really does. And then I think that was the other one. I know somebody tweeted it at me. Was the line when Finn is asking Bronwyn about the drugs, and she's like, he has anxiety.
I get anxiety before my mandolin auditions. People used to send that to me.
That's the line.
Yeah.
Stormageddon says it.
Yeah.
Who among us doesn't, you know?
Do you play the mandolin?
I do not. I was at the time playing a ukulele. I don't currently have one, but I'm hoping to get one back soon. I play ukulele a little bit. I play guitar somewhat. Yeah, and I play Irish frame drum. I also don't have one, a boron. I don't have one of those right now either. But yeah.
All right.
I love it.
I'm not Irish. It's not my but I'm obsessed with Irish music, and I have been since I was like 18.
Nice.
That's fair.
Why not?
Yeah.
Kate Makes Video says it was Stormville.
Thank you.
Stormville.
Thanks. Awesome. Any other lines? Any moments, Taylor?
No, those are my top faves.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Anything I can answer for you before we wrap? Any other burning questions?
The chat is welcome to submit questions as well. I'm looking through my notes. Here's a question. As you are a plus size woman, you are a plus size actress. We're a panel of plus size women, at least today without Felicia here. So, because she's not. So there's the moment when Benson describes her. She specifically calls her as red-haired and heavy set. And I want to know how you feel about that description. And if you were asked how you would have described yourself.
Well, so I don't love the word heavy set.
Same.
I don't. I prefer the word fat. I'm like, let's just, right? Thin gets to be a body type, so is fat, but like it carries a lot of baggage, and I could see where they I like plus size. Yeah. Was I asked? Are you saying was that the question? No, I wasn't. But I think if I had really, I didn't feel so uncomfortable with it that I was like, it can't go. Like there's another thing where like, Kelly Giddish's character says, I don't know why I'm blanking on her name. Oh my God.
Rollins.
Amanda Rollins.
Yeah, no nerves here. Rollins is like, oh, he makes you feel attractive. And it was like, gee, thanks, lady. Like in the whole interrogation thing.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, yeah, but it's like, you know what? I didn't love it, but I also understood where it was coming from.
Yeah.
I didn't take it personally, but I like a monologue about like patriarchal beauty standards like would not have been well timed. It's not SVU's fault that our culture is shitty about beauty standards,
right?
And that is absolutely the way they would have described Bronwyn, and that's absolutely what Rollins would have thought, and to an extent, like depending on where Bronwyn landed, like on her sort of self-esteem, like she doesn't have the greatest self-esteem. Probably she didn't feel that great about herself, and he did make her feel attractive, right? So like all of that tracks. Like I wasn't there to be like, I had a moment of like, and I was like, yeah, but all of it makes sense. And I'm like, this is not the platform to like win the fight about like, we need a broader definition, a less white-centered, like hetero, cis, all of the things standard of beauty. I'm standing on a soapbox suddenly. Sorry.
I didn't mean to put you on that. I didn't mean to put you on that. As a body positivity advocate, I felt like it literally hearing her say those words as a viewer, I went, oh, so I thought I'd ask.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did. And I realized like I'm sounding angry. Like I wasn't angry at anybody in the seat. Like I didn't get mad at Mariska or the writers or anything. It's like, I think it speaks to a deeper problem with like, we can't use the word fat. It's really hard to take. Well, I try to take it back. I try to use it, right?
TV can't use it.
TV can't use it because they'd get called out,
right?
Because it carries so much baggage. I think also with people who are not necessarily themselves fat, but don't know because they've been taught to diet since infancy.
Yeah.
I can do an hour on this. So we don't have that kind of time.
You will come on to my other show where we do talk about this and have that whole conversation.
Yes, please.
But I also wanted to ask, in the same vein, was that in the casting, was that in the character description at all? Was she specifically supposed to be a plus size woman?
I don't remember it being that way at all.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like there were a variety of like size, like there were a lot of redheads in that first room, and it was people of a bunch of different sizes and shapes. So I was probably the heaviest one because as a fat lady, I feel like I'm often keenly aware of where I fall in that spectrum in a room. I feel like I was the heaviest person I saw while I was in the waiting room, which isn't to say that they didn't see other people, but I don't think that Bronwyn was written that way. I think that's what she became because that's what I am.
Yeah. We have a question coming from Storm again. You and Raul both love musical theater, right? Did that affect anything during your time? Did you guys start singing on set?
No, I told him that I always wanted to play Dot in Sunday in the Park with George. That like I confided that in him while we were there. But he wants me to tell the story. Matt wants me to tell the story specifically. There's this moment. Again, long week that first week, right? Also the week that, what's it called? I'm sorry. I'm not usually this like, with names. Sound of Music Live was on NBC, right? And I think it had been like a dinner break or there'd been some sort of like slightly longer break. And I end up in Raul's dressing room with like a bunch of other people and we're watching Sound of Music Live. And then, and like we had not been there that long. But I think like he has friends in the cast he wanted to see, and like I'm a musical theater junkie and I wanted to see. And at some point, like a PA or one of the ADs comes back. So I just hear this radio go, I've got him. They're like checking location. I found these people. They're all in Raul's dressing room. Like they needed us back. Like nobody had heard. We'd just become very laser focused. I think for like a couple of minutes on the Sound of Music. Like, so yeah, we got caught watching the Sound of Music Live.
That's the dream. Like,
So
that's a
basically,
dream.
the Sound of Music Live delayed production should be blamed.
I want to put that on like the IMDb trivia or something.
I wish I remembered like more specifically what the heck. I feel like we were watching, and I think that we were specifically watching it for Laura Benanti, who had been in the show
of course, Amaro's wife.
Danny Pina's Amaro. Right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, because he was there at the beginning. At the beginning of your arc, he was still on the show.
Oh,
he sure was. Yep. And Andy Carl was there, I think, and when I got pulled out of the trunk.
Yep, Dodds had joined.
Like, I gotta say, they talk about Law and Order as a rite of passage for a New York actor, but do they talk about what it's like to be like anytime you walk onto that set, it's like just the musical theater, the theater powerhouse that is. And I think we all like Warren Leight knows his theater actors. Like, he is always bringing people onto that show, and anyway. I had a really good time because I'm always like, yay actors.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's so cool. Like, because you've been talking about how like amazing the show was for like new actors and people who didn't have a lot of like TV experience. So I feel like this is like the show for new actors and musical theater actors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we wrap, we have our usual stuff that we got to talk about, and we've got the contest. So, Taylor, it's time for the weekly poll.
Yes, it is. So last week we asked you guys, Olivia's been in so many hostage situations, so we wanted to know what your favorite one was. Coming in at last place, this literally hurts me so badly because it only got 6.9% of the vote, and it's my favorite one, Father Shadow. All right, you guys are fake, but that's fine. Coming in, we have a tie for second place between Florida, which is season 8, episode 19, and The Year We All Fell Down, which is season 22, episode 12. Coming in at first place, Townhouse Incident, season 17, episode 11, which got 44.8% of the vote, which is a great episode, so I guess I will allow it. But Father Shadow deserved better, and you guys did that so dirty, but that's fine.
I know there were also some submitted episodes.
Yes, I'm sorry. Your favorite, season 5, episode 11, Escape.
Thank you.
Also a great one. This week, we asked you guys a pretty obvious question, I think. What is your favorite Bronwyn episode? Right now, here's the order of the results. In fourth place, we have Beast Obsession, which is very interesting. That's season 15, episode 20. In third place, we have Psychotherapist. That's season 15, episode 10. Second place, we have Nationwide Manhunt. That's the season 17, episode 14 one. And in first place right now is Post-Mortem Blues, which is season 15, episode 21. We also have Criminal Pathology. That's the one with like a real tiny scene. So I left that one out of the poll. But if it's your favorite, like the tweet right below it where I mentioned that, and I will make sure to calculate based on the poll if that happens to be your favorite. I don't want to exclude you from this. But yeah, so go vote in that, and we'll tell you where to find it in just a couple minutes.
That's amazing. Sarah, do you have a favorite of your episodes?
I think it's a tie between Psychotherapist and Nationwide Manhunt. Because the Psychotherapist was my first, and it was such a masterclass being in that room with all, like, normally you don't get to be in the room with all those people, but I did.
Yeah.
And Nationwide Manhunt was just so much, like, it was so much fun to shoot and really awesome to explore Bronwyn's character and all the wacky places she had gone.
Amazing. The first one's got to be the most comfortable one, right? Because that's the one where you're physically you're sitting in a courtroom the whole time.
I mean, yeah, like yes. I mean, you could see, like, I don't sit still super well, so that was a challenge. But yeah, it was good. It was the most physically comfortable, but also like when they're doing like different changes of stuff, like lighting changes and set changes, like you can go back to the dressing rooms. And sometimes I did, but sometimes I just sort of sat and watched. Because it was, I did not know what was coming. And I was like, this is an amazing opportunity. I've hit an actor milestone, and I'm going to learn everything I possibly can. I'm not going to be the problem child. I'm going to be an excellent team player. I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to learn a lot.
I love it.
And so that it's always going to be one of my favorites because of that. But yeah.
It's interesting.
I got to yell at Olivia Benson. I got to yell at Mariska Hargitay. That's also kind of a milestone moment.
Yeah,
A
that's
dream.
But when you said that's, I believe that's what Carisi also said when he first got to guest star, was I'm not going to be a problem and I'm going to make sure they like me and I'll come back. And then he became Carisi. So is Sarah Storm going to join the team? It could happen.
Oh my God.
It would be a dream. It would be a dream.
It would be amazing. All right. We usually do what did we learn? Did we learn anything, Taylor? Something we want to learn?
When I first watched it, I learned that you could sneak someone out of jail with cupcake icing. So that was, I think a pretty valuable lesson.
That's true. Yeah, I guess I learned I should learn how to bake is what I think I learned.
Right.
Sarah, anything you learned that you would like to share?
Oh, so much. Let's see. If you smile real big and bring them some of your food and you can cook it well, you can sneak things into an upstate prison.
Good lesson. There it is. Amazing. Okay, so we said that we were going to do a little contest. We don't want to keep Sarah too long, so let's tell you what it is real quick. We have decided, because our show will not go on hiatus even if SVU does, we're going to let somebody choose what our episode will be that we'll be discussing when the season ends, because we know that they filmed the finale. So we know we're headed towards that. So the way to enter is between now and the season finale, any episode that we do, including this one and any other reruns that we cover between now and the finale, whenever that is, give us a rating and review on iTunes and or comment on the videos on YouTube. So if you're listening to us on podcast format, go to iTunes and leave us a rating and a review. If you do not podcast or iTunes, go to the YouTube and leave us a comment on any video between now and the finale. And let us know. We should probably pick a hashtag to keep track of these, Taylor.
We'll tweet one out later.
We'll figure it out. We're telling you about this contest. You have till now, till the season finale. Cool. That's the contest. Awesome. Next week we'll be doing a rerun as well, and we'll tell you what that is so that you can rewatch it between now and then when we decide what it is.
Yep.
All right, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. What are you up to? Where can everyone keep up with you on the internet? Tell us everything.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. This was amazing. I produce a podcast for LinkedIn called Hello Monday. It's a conversation about how work is changing and how that work is changing us, hosted by Jesse Hempel. We are every Monday in whatever podcast thing you enjoy listening on. And you can catch us live on Wednesdays at 3:00. We discuss themes from the show. I'm also sometimes on Clubhouse with Kevin Fox and Kate Lindsay from the SVU Diehards. And where else? Podcasting mostly at the moment. But, come say hi on Twitter. I'm friendly, I think. I try to be.
and what is your Twitter for those listening who don't see it?
I am Sarah Storm, SARAH.
Amazing. Thank you so much. We will also have links for that in the descriptions if you're listening to our podcast, or if you're on the YouTube, I will add those links. Felicia's not here. She's at It's Felicia Michelle on Instagram and at It's Felicia on Air on Twitter, but she doesn't tweet. So go follow her on Instagram. Taylor, where are you in the poll?
Yes, me and the poll are on Twitter at alphabet_Ann. You can also find me on Instagram at Taylor_Gates_.
Amazing. Thank you, everybody. I'm Yael Tygiel. I'm everywhere at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL. I spelled that right. I want to say thank you to Sarah and Amber and Matt, aka Stormageddon, and Kate and Zach and Daryl for being here in the chat. We love that you're live with us. We'll be back next Sunday for more SVU. I will be on the internet later talking about SVU because I'll probably finish this and then go watch old episodes because that's what I do on my Sunday.
So out of character for you.
So out of character. Greatest show of all time. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Sarah. Mwah.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody. Bye.